windshield. So because the car could see under and through the object, it didn't register as something to avoid. Elon Musk said afterwards that the car might have falsely registered the trailer as an overhead sign. Of course, the root cause of the crash was the fact that the person behind the wheel didn't notice that a tractor trailer had pulled out in front of their car and didn't take any action to avoid it. Even the family of the driver made an effort at the time to shift the narrative away from the self-driving car. In a statement, the family said, "We heard numerous times that the car killed our son. This is simply not the case." Even still, the NTSB published a list of recommendations to all automakers who offer level 2 self-driving abilities that suggested manufacturers should not let a product be used in a manner that is, quote, inconsistent with its design. Other recommendations centered around data collection and designs for determining whether drivers are actually paying attention behind the wheel. So that's the 5-year-old backstory on why the chair of the NTSB is writing an angry letter to Elon Musk in October 2021. There are a couple of weird things going on here. The NTSB can issue recommendations, but they cannot make new regulations. Nothing they say is binding. It's just what they consider to be good advice. Though they do have very strong expectations that companies will take that advice and act on it. That's what Homendy is referencing in her letter. She says that the 5 other automakers in the report officially responded to the recommendations within the 90-day window that the safety board prescribes, and the NTSB officially flagged those responses as acceptable. Tesla did not file a response. Again, this all happened 5 years ago, and in the time since then, Tesla has actually done a lot to improve the driver monitoring system during autopilot. They've increased the frequency of alerts when drivers take their hands off the wheel. They've reduced the scenarios where autopilot will actually allow you to engage the system, and Tesla are even in the process of incorporating a camera-based driver monitoring system into their full self-driving feature. But that doesn't really matter to the NTSB. All they seem to care about is whether or not the company formally responds to the recommendations that are made. In the letter, Homendy writes to Elon, quote, "You have stated that safety is always the primary design requirement for a Tesla. Now that statement is undercut by the announcement that Tesla drivers can request access to full self-driving beta technology, operational on both highways and city streets, without first addressing the very design shortcomings that allowed the fatal crashes to occur." In March 2021, Elon Musk did report on Twitter that the FSD beta had expanded to about 2,000 users, but at the same time, Tesla had actually revoked beta access where drivers did not pay sufficient attention to the road. In May 2021, it was widely reported that Tesla had started using in-cabin cameras to make sure that drivers are paying attention while using autopilot. As far as I can tell, that makes Tesla the only brand to use both camera monitoring and steering wheel input at the same time. For example, GM Super Cruise has camera monitoring but does not require hands on the wheel. And in October 2021, just days before the NTSB letter was published, we got reports that Tesla has been giving notice to full self-driving users who don't pay attention to the road and warning them that access to the software will be revoked. Here's an excerpt from the email that Tesla is sending to drivers who misuse the software. "This is your only warning to please keep your hands on the wheel and remain attentive at all times when using autopilot. The car is not autonomous, and if you aren't paying attention, a crash could happen, and you or others could get hurt or worse. So failure to abide by this warning will result in removal of the FSD beta from your vehicle." So for the NTSB to outright claim that Tesla has done nothing to improve their driver monitoring when they have demonstrably done quite a lot, it's pretty weird. And it has been said that this is a case of Homendy being personally biased against Tesla due to her history as a union lobbyist and Elon Musk's history of discouraging workers' unions. But she's fairly new to the job, being appointed in the spring of 2021, and it does seem odd that she's bringing a 5-year-old conflict back to the surface. But this kind of attitude from the NTSB has been ongoing for a long time. In February 2020, the previous chair, Robert Sumwalt, said basically the exact same thing about Tesla not responding to the 2017 recommendations, and his background is entirely in the aviation industry with seemingly no connection to unions or anything automotive related. So I don't mean to be patronizing, but it really seems like the board is just upset that Tesla won't respond to their emails and they take it personally. Or they don't actually care about what happens in real life, because literally all the NTSB would have to do is read the news to know that Tesla is already doing the things that were recommended. And they should, in theory, be pretty happy or at least supportive of that. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is a level up from the NTSB. These people actually have some teeth when it comes to making rules and regulations, and they have bones to pick with Tesla as well. The ongoing situation between the NHTSA and Tesla again revolves around autopilot. No surprise there. In this case, the administration is investigating 12 collisions involving Teslas on autopilot that have smashed into emergency vehicles. We don't have specific details readily available on all of the incidents, but we have learned that they all occurred at night and involved emergency crews using flashing lights, flares, an illuminated aero board, or cones to warn of hazards. So on the one hand, it looks like they're making a fair point. If autopilot can't recognize an emergency situation with fire trucks and police cars on the road, then that's not ideal, obviously. It's probably something that the software should be able to detect and make some kind of response, probably to shut itself off and make the driver take over control, or at the very least, slow down the car. On the other hand, any responsible car driver who sees flashing lights and emergency vehicles on the road should just instinctively switch off autopilot or any other kind of cruise control feature that they might be using. Seems like a common sense solution. Either way, in this case, Tesla has actually submitted their response to the administration's request. They don't really have much of a choice because this time there are legal consequences to just ghosting. The NHTSA compelled Tesla to turn over autopilot data collected from over 750,000 vehicles, the majority of all cars Tesla has ever made. And so far, Tesla has submitted a partial response to that request, which came with an October 22nd deadline. We don't know the content of Tesla's response because they have made a broad request for, quote, confidential business treatment, which is fair to say. Autopilot is a selling feature for Tesla, and they don't want 7 or 8 years worth of data getting out to their competition. Not that the competition is being left out of the whole investigation, though. Every other automaker who uses a level 2 driver assist feature also has to submit their data to the NHTSA. They just have a later deadline than Tesla to do it. So the eventual ruling is going to be much larger and wider ranging than just Tesla and autopilot. This could be a kind of referendum on advanced driver assist features